So let's head into game number 1 here between these two teams and see exactly how it is going to turn out. So we might have a very early team fight to break out here as Ravens have smoked up and run right towards GRIN. The thing is, though, GRIN are holding the higher ground. So pretty obvious position here for GRIN to be in. Ravens, understanding this, will hang around their own vision. Mind you, there is an observer ward there by the Radiant as well on the low ground, but it has not spotted them yet, I don't believe. So you are still within the fog right now for Ravens. Just give you an opportunity to land something like a nice arrow here if somebody does rock up for the bounty rune. Though never mind, because Argus is now revealing himself with Italiana Gangster. So I think now it's very obvious that they are looking to try and get a gank going.
Yeah, they're still holding position on both sides. It's down to who maybe has a little bit more patience here.
I mean, they could bait with Italiana Gangster. He was the only one to show. Now Argus will be shown as well. Never mind. They all show. GRIN, seeing enough, they will back out. Is going to be... Actually, there's 2 banner runes on the map that have just been left right now. RRL will not go for it. It doesn't realize that they are just there. So Rojo Fireflu will have a nice surprise for himself. So he will pick up 1, but he won't get the other. So there's just 1 banner rune sitting there doing absolutely nothing. A 2-for-1 trade thus far. See, someone will eventually pick that one up. While we're here, Jonathan, let's start with the bottom lane. You've got Italiana Gangster and Wake Me Up against Salivating Salamander and, of course, Soul on the Medusa. How is this bot lane meant to work, John?
It's pretty damn annoying for Italiana Gangstar. You can't walk up here at all. You'll cop impetus shots, you'll cop the snake. It's pretty free for the side of GRIN, honestly. And again, this is where that draft shines through for GRIN. Their lane setups are nice. For the side of Ravens, it's going to be slower. You have to try to drag this one out, minimize your losses in the laning phase. By the time you hit level 3, perhaps, on the Marcy, it starts to become a little bit more playable. But, man, you see Salivating Salamander just walk up, hit the impetus, and Italiana Gangster has no threat. Like, you can't even just try to play with Dispo's arrow.
First blood already being drawn. Argus the one to go down, as I believe they were chasing LGTK, but now he's going to go. Kara, however, going to feed a double kill over to Muzi. And as a Doom, you couldn't really ask for a better start. Getting the first blood gold plus a secondary kill. So we are going to have a quick pause out. Seems like Argus might be having some lag issues, but pretty rough start here already for Ravens.
Yeah, again, just the lanes. Like, you have Doom techies up against Alk. We've seen Alk lose this one multiple times, even at the start of the patch, even before the sub-patches came in. At 7.33 itself, in, I think, Dream League 19, we've seen techies Doom be pretty much the counter to Alk in lane. Granted, you can still recover as an Alchemist. You can still kind of farm it in the jungle if enough room is given out for you, but you don't want to have to rely on that. You know, you don't want to have to get off on the wrong foot here. And that does set a good tone for GRIN. Top lane's already going well. Bot lane, you're not being zoned out. Your mid lane as well during this pause, we can take a look. Rojo Fireflu crushing RRL, which is to be expected. Not quite in the CS, but in terms of a harassment, it's just a lot easier for your Wind Ranger to take control in this lane. And every time you have Wind Runner's no threat, RRL can really bring onto the Wind Ranger. So you're free to just do what you want. You don't have any natural Dispel on hand here from Ravens to kind of take away that Wind Run as well. So Rojo should just be free to really do what he wants every single time. And for the side of Ravens, I mean, it doesn't feel like any of their lanes are just going to go nicely. I don't see any quick timings they can hit to relieve pressure. It's Italiano Gangster. Oh boy.
Yeah, he's down as well. Bot lane not going too well for him. It's just such a challenging lane to have to go up against. Italiano Gangster going down to boot. And this lane's not going to get any easier for him as well. Like, sure, you can get some levels up, maybe get a point or two in rebound, but still against the impetus, you know, that rebound can work kind of against you. So we'll see exactly how this does pan out for him. But again, off to a pretty rough start as top lane. LGTK dropping pretty low himself on the techies, but is going to be able to walk his way out. So I don't think they want to dive into the Doom again. So last time around, it did not work out in their favor. So Ravens will just let LGTK remain on pretty low HP. But Kara, they say that, is moving up now. Let's cancel a salve off here for LGTK. Muzi is going to take a bit of time to chase down the Pugner, but a bit too fast at the end of the day. Instead, we'll just go for the Devour on the Chain Lightning creep. But to be fair, I don't really think he has the biggest mana pool to spam the Chain Lightning, but he can get like 4 or 5 of them off right now, so it's not too bad. Still a lot of damage.
Well, yeah, not the worst. Should be enough to shove away the Alk if Argus is not careful with his positioning. And overall, you're still seeing a solid laning start. Again, every single lane just having better aggression. RRL does manage to dodge out quite a fair bit of the power shots from Rojo Fireflu, but that lane is starting to get a little bit out of hand as the Wind Ranger again just has a much better time. 0-2-2 build up as well. So more damage output, more uptime on the Wind Run, less opportunities for the Storm to try and harass back. And well, Wind Ranger's universal type. You know, you start off with a magic wand, a circlet, and an iron branch, and you can just outright click a Storm.
That you certainly can. RRL not having a good time whatsoever. Barely going to escape his bottom lane. Again, Italian Gangster just being followed right now by Salivating Salamander. He did not go for the point and rebound at level 2, but rather went for the sidekick. And you know what, John? It might pay off now because Salivating Salamander went way too far here. Could try to deny himself off to the ancient camp, but instead will just continue running up north. Wake Me Up, trying with an arrow, not going to land. So instead, right into the tier 2 tower. And ultimately, the gold will still be credited to Italiano Gangster anyway. He will just be kind of missing out on the XP bonus of getting the Ench kill, but I mean, regardless of that, I think Italiano will be pretty happy considering how badly this lane's gone. He just wants the gold right now.
He needs every little bit he can get. At this point, it's a little bit more manageable for Italiano in this lane. He has the double bracer up, so a little bit more HP to play with. That said, you know, Salivating Salamander comes back in with full mana and the impetus spam begins once more. There's just no counterplay for a Marcy. No, there's nothing you can do on Marcy Mirana to really relieve that. Especially without rebounds. You can't even jump in and try to dispose into arrow. Just always gonna have to play it safer and just accept that Solo will get free farm here.
That he will. You know what I really like? The Ags on the Marcy right now is it feels so broken. Let me tell you, like this Unleash Aghanim Scepter upgrade, it is ridiculous. I think I'm sure we'll see it at some stage here for Italiano Gangster, but like the silence, like the amount of range that thing has. I was playing against this the other day, and it's just you can be a few hundred units away, and it just the silence still hits you. And you kind of underestimate how often she silences you. It's ridiculous.
It is. I think it's kind of funny as well because it feels like the Marcy Ags was always the build. We just never reached a point where Marcy can build the Ags when you do get the Marcy core. Feels like the game just kind of ends when you get like this timing on Basher. But it's a lot of value. Like just the lower cooldown and Unleash alone is already worth its price there for the Ags. We'll see if that's something they can build into for Italian Gangster. Some pressure onto the mid. Wake Me Up does pick up the regen at the least.
LGTK's blasted off into Kara. Problem is he didn't have the damage, so RRL is just going to happily jump in and secure the kill for himself. And if I know mid laners, Rojo Fireflu is not going to be very happy with a kill being fed to the enemy mid lane, as it does give him that level 6. Rojo Fireflu, though, going to pop the focus fire and just chase down the Storm, who's very low on mana, but RRL still able to just get enough to zip away, as Rojo does not have enough for the power shot, though he does have wand charges, and he may need to use them very soon, because Wake Me Up is just continuing to go onto the Wind Ranger. Rojo finally pops them, and we'll have to Wind Run away. But really does wait to the last moment, and now with the Starfall out, it's still going to be enough for Wake Me Up to get the kill. In the meantime, though, at least top lane, Muzi does pick off Argus. So they do lose the Archivist once again. But big kills happening across the map nonetheless here for Ravens.
Yeah, you're more than happy about mid. Starting to catch up a little bit for RRL, considering the slightly slower laning start for the Storm. Still a bit behind, like 2.5k net worth. Not the best position for the Storm. The kills do relieve some of that pressure. There's a few stacks for him to clear out. Not the biggest, but any gold is good. Jumping onto Muzi.
He's a tanky boy, though, with all that bonus armor he got from the Devour, but not tanky enough against all the magic damage they can provide here, and RRL happy to secure the kill himself on the Storm. So 5-5 is the kill score at the moment here between these two. Very slight net worth lead standing for GRIN. And pretty much all that net worth lead is sitting on your Doom and your Medusa, which is pretty natural, I suppose. Both these heroes want to be top of the net worth board. So GRIN, you know, regardless of these deaths happening, as long as your Medusa and Doom are finding net worth, you're probably still going to be pretty happy. Just Wake Me Up, going to avoid the blast-off stun coming in from LGTK. This rotation not really panning out for GRIN, but it does give them a nice opportunity of at least securing the Arcane Rune here on Rojo Fireflu.
That spell spam and Wind Ranger are going to be pretty important to set up in this lane. RRL already just walking all the way back to get a bit of a reset and a full bottle in. But they've got this opportunity to push mid. They've got the output with the Ench around along with the Wildwing Ripper. It's not going to take too much to melt this objective. No Fortify left. Just an easy mid-tier 1 from this movement from GRIN. Opening up the map more, giving them more space to farm up on that Doom Medusa. Speaking of that Doom though, Muzi.
Here we go. Italian Gangster is here with the Unleash, and I mean, it is still a Marcy, John. She does a lot of damage with that sidekick Unleash. So even the channeled stun here by our Alchemist, but Argus was not required. Italian Gangster will get it done himself.
Yeah, and again, that's a good sign of life despite having a pretty atrocious lane for Italian Gangstar. He still has more farm than his Storm. And this is a pretty impactful kill. He is working onto a Diffusal Rush as well on the Marcy. But GRIN take this opportunity to just focus fire down bot. Look for another quick push to come out here. Fortify will stall them out. And Italiano is back in the area, but he doesn't have Unleash for a minute.
He's going to run right past them, in fact. He's just going to reveal his position, not really wanting the team fight without the Unleash, but it's kind of forcing them back. Very, very nice. Argus, please reconnect your webcam, sir. We want to see that beautiful face of yours. Top tier 1 tower. Going to be under siege here from GRIN. Because Argus not really in a position as the Alchemist where you can really commit for a defense here. Bottom, however, Rojo Fireflu getting caught. Windrun is going to allow him an escape route, but the chase is still ongoing as Rojo is trying his best to survive through this, but RRL is going to be there to back up the Mirana. So they've got the Wind Ranger down. Meanwhile, Kara finding himself in a spot of danger, but is going to be able to survive through it. RRL would love to try and take down LGTK there as well, but sadly was out of mana completely. We'll have to let him go. Still some nice pickups coming out here for Ravens, as we are going to have another pause coming out from Argus. Maybe just to try and resolve some of the webcam issues we were having. There we go.
Looks like it is. Camera's back. Should get back into the game. G's are called. And Ravens, I mean, these are big kills, especially since you're finding them on RRL. And we talked about how bad this lane was for RRL. He's bouncing back in. He's not too far behind now. Only 300 gold behind a Wind Ranger. So this investment for movement onto mid has paid off. I think for the side of GRIN, you're still in a good position. You know, you mentioned it. As long as this Dusa and Doom is farming up, you're not going to feel too upset here on the side of Ravens. But you have to be cautious. Like if Italiano Gangstar hits this diffusal timing, your Deuce is still just going to get run down. The Alchemist as a core, sure, it's kind of faded away in the later stages of this patch, but it's still a decent hero, even though, again, it's not been winning as much, but the only thing you have to worry about the Alch here is really just this Deuce Scotty timing. Outside of that, you're pretty free to do what you want here.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a very even game between these two teams. Might take the time out to say, Jonathan, by the way, that Rojo Fireflu actually tweeted at me the other day. He was kind of defending your point that you were making. He said, how could you say that my name is better than salivating salamander? And I just outright said to him, it is better. Rojo Fireflu is better sounding than salivating salamander. Just because you've got the double S thing going doesn't mean your name's good, John. And speaking of the devil, he will be punished for his insolence here, salivating. They do land the stun, and he is going to go down to RRL.
You know what that tells you, Mike? This should be a self-reflective lesson. Your taste probably is a bit trash.
Think about it, John. Like,
lot.
you try being a play-by-play caster where a guy names himself Salivating Salamander. Like, you want to say that every 2 seconds?
Yes.
No,
it's just like in China when you've got what was it in China? You have super and super. We had
Super
XSS, XXS. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of really mind-blowing stuff in China, if I remember right. Just really confusing names, you know.
I think
could always be
overall-
worse, Mike.
I think overall, just choosing letters for your name is always a no-no when it comes to the casting side of things. Just remember SCCC. That was a real one.
SCCC.
Yeah, that was fun.
SCCC. I missed that.
And then there was the M's. Remember in Div 2 of China last tour? Oh, that drove me nuts. That drove me nuts.
At some point, you were just like, I'm just gonna say M, and I was like, nope, I'm still saying
It's like, when you choose names like that, you don't deserve to be you don't deserve the recognition, honestly.
How about someone named ABC123? Would that be acceptable?
No, it wouldn't, Jonathan. Put some effort into your damn name.
It's effort. He had to hit 6 keys, Mike.
He did. Rojo 5 flew. He's gonna have to hit some keys here, John. Italiano Gangster, focus fired up, but he's just fine to rebound away. In fact, now Ravens have grouped up down at bot lane. They want to try and go for this big team fight, but not seeing the initiation. And also potentially not wanting to fight into the full squad of GRIN. Now they even bring in Muzi. RRL still trying, but a nice shackle, and now the Doom out. They've got the Storm down, and that's going to mean that GRIN, they'd love to continue the fight now. But Ravens obviously looking to back their way out of here. I think the one hero they did not want to see in all of this was the Doom popping up last second, but, well, there it is. He does get there.
And Muzi just in the right spot at the right time, taking that gate through to have that impact. Rather unfortunate for the side of Ravens, losing out in your Storm. He is your big playmaker at the moment. So you're just forced to back off over a pretty awkward start. Italiano getting jump early as well probably doesn't help the cause. Not able to utilize that diffusal to try to melt through to do so while it's still somewhat manageable at this point. So you're more than happy for GRIN, 6-8. 1K lead standing for GRIN, the side of Ravens. Try again.
Yeah, not to be dissuaded. Salivating Salamander now getting targeted here and does go down to RRL. RRL quite close to having an annoying name himself, John. Speaking of the lettered names. Wanted to point that out. Because R's not a nice
No
letter
ABC.
to say. Yeah, but ABC is
RRL.
easy to say. That's the thing. Bottom lane.
You watch, Mike. I'll convince a C player to rename to ABC123.
Well,
You'll
I'd
have some fun there.
I'd have to be casting C first, Jonathan, to really care. Bottom lane. Soul. Gonna get jumped here on the Medusa. Arrow's actually gonna land, and he's quite low on mana, but he does have the Stone Gaze going. Still, RRL is able to get out of there. Meanwhile, Ravens. So they're just gonna retreat for now. You're a bit, I say you're a bit low on RRL, but he has reset with the bottle, so you could think about going back in, but I think the threat of Muzi is what's scaring them. Thing is, he doesn't have the Doom anyway, so they're gonna make the jump in with the Unleash up from Italiano Gangster. And it really just doesn't take very long when you've got this sidekick and Unleash available. And I actually like the Diffusal build up by Italiano Gangster as well on top. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's a solution. It's a good way of just slowing people down with the inhibit. Kara maybe going a little bit too hard. Yeah, he topped up RRL.
Okay.
He topped him up, Mike. He did the needful. He did what he had to do. Okay?
Yeah.
Sacrifices have to be made.
And they were made. RRL, full mana, full HP. He's a happy man now. He did what he had to do. 3k advantage now to the way of Ravens, which is to be expected because you do have an Alchemist on your side of things as Ravens. Speaking of that Alchemist, Argus has spent a lot of time just off the map, and well, he's doing a great job of it, John. Like, Radiance up, S and Y up, now has the full blink up. And that does mean he can start to get involved with his team. And I think you may want to get involved rather soon, because you don't really want to give Soul the time to finish up this Skadi. You know, just peacefully just farming up in the jungle all the time as this Deucer. You'd much rather get involved now and start applying a little bit of pressure here with this Alchemist. But then again, he might wait for the BKB to be up before he really gets going. We'll see.
Yeah, can't fault him either way. I think either call out is fine. We've seen Argus actually join in some of these earlier fights if it's in his general area. So I don't think he'd shy away from the opportunity. We'll find out soon enough. 4K lead still stands for Raven. And they should... I feel like there's a need to really try to get something done with Italiano. Find a shield rune for themselves here as well. So this should be our dive rune for RRL. And actually, they are clumped up as 5. We'll see. Want to show that blink off.
Here we go. Down towards the bot lane they go. Muzi was showing there on the creep wave for a moment. They know exactly where he's gone to farm in the hot tub. Sometimes, John, you get caught with your pants down in the hot tub. Not the greatest situation to be in here for Muzi, but it does happen.
Would you be in a situation where you're in a bathtub with your pants on?
No.
Is the question.
No,
so I
wouldn't.
guess
You'd
it's not too
preferably not do
surprising that you get caught in the hot tub with your pants down. That's perfectly natural. No need to be embarrassed.
He might be a little bit embarrassed here, John. He's getting caught out here by RRL, though a lot of disarms coming out. In fact, RRL now the one getting taken out. It seems as he has to zip away. Top lane in the meantime, a full-blown team fight has broken out. Italian and Gangster being protected here by Kara, but there's only so much the Pugna can do before they start to take his life. So 2 down for Ravens. GRIN can start working on towards that top tier 2 tower. And obviously you don't wear full-blown pants in a hot tub, Jonathan, but you might wear board shorts, you know? You might wear some underwear.
But if it's your own private hot tub in your room, then
in your room,
it's just like a bathtub.
Well, how wealthy are you, Jonathan, to have it in your room?
I don't know. This is their house. It's right by their tier 2. It's their hot tub. They can decide whether the pants stay on or off, Mike. But in this case, Ravens, Italiano Gangster was walking down the lane with no pants. He gets caught. He gets embarrassed. Nice cleanup from GRIN. Enforcing modesty as the Scotty's up. So the timings for Soul are lining up. And for Raven, I mean, you start to get worried whether or not you can handle this Dusa. Because, yes, you have an answer in your Marcy, but just doesn't feel like we're seeing an easy way for Italiano to just focus in on the Dusa in the first place. Like, even with the BKB up, as a melee carry, once Stone Gaze is popped, you're kind of stuck in a really awkward spot. And GRIN just going for a smoke play now.
Here we go. Smoke up the run through the mid lane. RRL actually maybe going to be spotted here first. Be a great opportunity to get a nice Doom off here on the Storm if you could. Kara there as well to help out the Storm. GRIN are taking their time to move in. Keep in mind, you don't have anything like a blink to initiate with on the Doom. You are relying on your team to set up for that Doom opportunity. No Ravens, they're just going for Roshan instead. It's not going to take too long with the Acid Spray and the Sidekick available. It's going to be a pretty fast process here for Ravens. There is plenty of time for GRIN to try and get in there and try to force a fight. In fact, they are making their way over now. Kara is in position to break the smoke, and Roshan is getting extremely low. They don't have that much time. Kara, he's going to get jumped here, but Roshan is still just being focused by Ravens as they do secure, and it seems like they just want to go for the retreat. Muzi popping the BKB preemptively, getting ready for that big team fight, but never gets a Doom target for himself. And everyone from Ravens seems to be out just fine. They are all safe. In fact, there is a chance they could try to turn this fight now. They did throw a casual arrow out, but it doesn't end up landing here, so they won't bother trying to capitalize.
Yeah, no need to force the issue too hard here. Just get back, reset, wait for your Pugna to be back up to have even, further battering for RRL. And just kind of Rest easy. Not too much pressure onto Ravens just yet. A heart on its way for Argus with a little bit more gold necessary for it. So your Alk is starting to hit critical mass now. And your one issue right now is just having Italiano Gangster try to be on top of this Dusa. The BKB will help. Only 160 gold away now for our Marcy. And once that's up, again, it starts to simplify just a tad bit. It does feel like the blink is probably more necessary here. Again, more time needed for that to come out. GRIN, they've done a great job of just farming up under Dusa and Doom in this downtime. Although, again, they're starting to lag behind in comparison to the Alchemist, but that is the Alk. That's to be expected. Like, the full Scotty being out on Soul is pretty scary to fight into for the Alk. And for Muzi, he's saving up for that blink. Once you can get the blink Doom off, I don't know how scared you'll be of RRL in the Storm. He is the one big issue you have, just the Storm zipping in and out. A blink Doom fixes a lot of that.
Mid lane, LGTK spotted. RRL immediately just jumping in, though disarmed again. Is rooted up in place. Shackle also going to land here from Rojo Fire Flu, but they are not trying to go for the... Oh, never mind. The blast off will get it done. So they do at least get an Aegis for this death on LGTK, but RRL is not done yet. He zips right towards Salivating Salamander now. Not hitting with the zip damage, sadly, but should be able to control him up long enough for Argus to come in with the Unstable Concoction. And while it is going to be a bit of a slow process here against the Ench, they are going to be able to secure the kill just fine. And RRL going to get his nice little top-up here by Kara. They call it the gas station in China, as they do. And well, Ravens starting to really take over this game, though it is still only a 2k net worth lead, to be absolutely fair. But it seems like they are ready to once again try to apply some more pressure.
Yeah, they can start to try to take more of the map away, try to slow down the side of GRIN. They are going for another smoke play out. Full home.
Right, Fire Flute going to be targeted. Vortex is out, and he just gets bursted down. That's your mid-wind ranger dying pretty casually here to Ravens. This is where you start to feel really strong as Ravens, just finding these individual pickoffs. It's not going to really lead to any objective taking yet, but these are very nice kills.
These are very big kills, actually, for them to kind of reel this back in. Again, keeping the lid on the Wind Ranger. Again, Nick, your point still stands, though, Mike. Your earlier point where the Deuce and the Doom are farming. But you do start to get worried about how much you're bleeding out to Ravens. Like, these heroes, they're not doing too bad. They've managed to keep parity with a Doom and farm, which is not a good sign for your Doom with a Midas Devour. The fact that RRL and Italian Gangstar are even within striking range are... It's not the ideal. They are still clumped up around top. They've got vision in the area.
I'm just going to move in. That's Salivating Salamander, but he ignores him completely, trying to find LGTK on the techies, but sadly ends up stunning himself. And everyone just TPs out of there. Nobody getting caught out by Ravens. GRIN will be pretty happy with the retreat, I think. Buying even more time here for Soul to get that big farm up on the Medusa. Overall, I must say, a fairly slow game. 9 to 14 so far. This is why I was saying just earlier that, you know, Alchemist is one of those heroes you just hate to see, because this is what tends to happen. But he's a farm boy though. Like, you can't really get too much more farm than this. Nullify now up. Going for the overwhelming blink up next. RRL mid lane was trying to jump Salivating Salamander, but didn't quite have the damage. Now they do find the Doom though. Muzi, he's a big target. He'll commit the Doom immediately onto the Storm. Blast off is there to follow up. They did get Muzi, but they're going to sacrifice RRL in the meantime. So Italian Gangster also in trouble, is going to survive with the rebound. So Argus has jumped in. Rojo Fireflu going to be targeted by the Alchemist, but it is getting just kited around here. Nullifier used again, but it won't matter if he's just getting completely kited. LGTK now being the target here of Argus. Meanwhile, in the back, Salivating Salamander finally going to go down, but Soul is getting right to work. Problem is, he's also getting kited on the Medusa. Luckily, he does have full mana. Problem is, he is surrounded by 4 heroes now, though they are not attacking because they just can't deal with it. Argus looks like he's going to be left behind here by Ravens, as they have lost Wake Me Up. Argus still being chased down, eventually going to drop as well. It's kind of the issue here for Ravens, is everyone else was just low in HP, so they did not want to feed all the kills away to the Medusa. And Sol, he just stood his ground and just fought back against the Alk.
Yeah, it's just a lot of back and forth. That did cost 2 buybacks inside of GRIN, but those are basically your supports. You don't mind that too much. Those work in favor of GRIN now. You are seeing the issues you have in handling something like the Medusa. If you're not able to be on top with Italian and Gangster onto that hero, then you don't have the mana burn to kind of deal with that mana shield. And it's just hard to handle. You know, you don't have a great way of countering Medusa this game outside of your Marcy with the right clicks. I like that Italiano is going for the Heaven's Halberd. So you will have a disarm to play with, preventing the Medusa output, or even something like the Wind Ranger and even the Ench. So you have some good targets to kind of pin down there. Smoke out from Ravens once more, though.
Absolutely. Zip in immediately. They found Muzi again. The BKB was there in time. Still Italian and Gangster. He doesn't care for the BKB. He just wants to keep going, but this is very forced. Sol does get the Stone Gaze, and now Italian and Gangster getting blasted off on by LGTK, but he had the BKB himself, so he's going to be okay. So LGTK does drop here on the techies, and now RRL is just continuing to go, but they do hold him in place with a nice shackle out, landing on 2 heroes. There goes the Storm again. Kara now going to prove to be in trouble. Argus going to show up and try to save this team fight, but he gets doomed up immediately on the Alchemist. Not exactly what you wanted to see if you are a Ravens fan. They are going to lose this Alk, it seems, eventually. But he will end up running. The Doom does wear off. And Argus, he actually proves to be a little bit too tanky. Never mind.
Yeah, just a bit too much on the Alk to kind of keep him down. Nevertheless, you found 3 kills for yourself here, only losing the techies on GRIN. So even if you don't find the Alk kill, again, you're in a good position now for the side of GRIN. You've got the full butterfly on Soul. So even if this Marcy could be on top of you, the missed chances just make it so hard to manage that Medusa. And for the side of Ravens, it doesn't feel like they have the best AoE control coming out just yet. This Ags build up in RRL will mitigate some of those issues, but it's still a ways off. He's gonna need the Ags plus a Lotus Orb or a Lincoln Sphere here just to protect from that great lockdown that we're seeing from GRIN. And for Ravens, again, it's... I don't know how you put the Italiano right next to the Medusa, because Sol's positioning has just been too good. He's been waiting quite a fair bit in these fights to come in to join his team, and when he does join in, he's so far back that you only feasibly have the Storm that can zip right up. Good denying the DD at the least, and GRIN. And this game just simplifies. It goes on. You start to run out of good options for Ravens in taking these fights. Like, it's just very reliant on RRL.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
GRIN. The next Roshan attempt. 10 seconds away. Letting Salamander a little bit too early to the pit, but should just stick around. GTK just drops a mine. That'll do the trick. And Roshan gonna get a bit of a surprise as he respawns up. There you go. Information is available for the Roshan now. The Ravens, they have popped the Moonlight Shadow, and it seems like they're just gonna go for the Radiant Tormentor still. Yeah, a free chance upgrade here for someone in your team. And it is gonna go the way of Wake Me Up. I mean, you'd much rather be in the Roshan pit right now if you are Ravens. And it's either they haven't realized, or no, they realize now. They have scanned. Problem is, it doesn't really feel like you're going to be in a position where you can contest this. And you could try for a steal, but it's proving to be a little bit too slow here. So instead, they're going to try and push in the top tier 3 tower. Telling the Gangster actually getting a hell of a lot of damage off into that tier 3. But we'll have to back off because there was a TP rotation from Muzi. So half the HP of the tier 3 tower is gone. Not too big of a deal though for GRIN. I'm sure they're more than happy picking up the Aegis for themselves. In the meantime though, it did allow RRL to pick up the full Aghanim Scepter, so now you do have the blue hole available for for the Storm, and a very nice and important arcane rune as well. Happy days.
Very happy days. They have to watch this smoke play out from GRIN though. Italiano.
Oh, nice juke.
Ooh.
They didn't want to commit the Doom, trying to get greedy with the War Stomp, but it does not pay off.
Good smoke break from Italiano. Good reflexes as well. So wasting some time out from GRIN. This is much needed time for the side of Ravens to keep that build up, especially on Argus. Does have the overwhelming blink up, going for a Moon Shard next. Should just devour that. Full MKB up and running for Soldo. The Deuce is just doing way too much damage right now. It's a concern. I don't know what your solution is from Ravens for Dedusa. Everything else you can kind of manage, but Dedusa, the only situation I can see the side of Ravens managing Dedusa is maybe in a 1v5. Like if you isolate Dedusa that long, melt down her team first and take care of Dedusa alone, it's somewhat alright. But again, it's hard to see that situation even coming out. And GRIN, yeah, they're feeling much more confident, shoving in the top and mid, and potentially could just open up for the high ground now.
Here we go. It's all going to get started, but bottom lane was also being forced in. In fact, they're doing it a lot faster, but Muzi, he's in with the wall stop, and now the Doom being committed onto the master. Still a huge vortex coming up from RRL. And somehow, Italian Gangster is actually out of there for now, being healed up by the Pugna. He has a secondary chance at life. Problem is, though, they are going to leave Argus behind. And oh, hold on a minute. Argus moving a bit too quickly here is actually going to make it out. I mean, where's the lockdown? How does Argus keep just walking away?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Just goes full Forrest Gump, you know, runs off. No one can catch him, just a bit too quick. Your lockdown here on GRIN, it's not the most amazing, especially when your wind range is down. Like, you are relying on that Gleipnir, it feels like, to kind of keep a hero in, especially if you don't land at War Stomp. It's a little bit unfortunate for the side of GRIN, a 1-for-1. A support for a mid. You're feeling pretty alright for that for Raven. You haven't shown a solution yet for Soul on that Dusa. And Aegis is still up for quite a fair bit more time. So there's still an opportunity for GRIN to build up more on the map and keep pressuring Ravens despite that loss.
Dire's bottom tower
In the bottom lane, Argus looking for the big initiation, gets a double stun off, immediately trying for the Salamander. It's going to be fine to force stuff away, so Argus instead going after LGTK. Soul being kited out here on the Medusa, not feeling too happy right now as they finally do take care of the techies, and now they can look back onto the Medusa. He does have Stone Gaze in a couple seconds though, so Soul should be able to turn this one around, plus the Aegis is still up, of course. Well, not really much of a point in trying to go for the Medusa at the moment. You want the other targets behind the Medusa, though he is very low on mana now, but he's still healthy enough, and now a great shack with Rojo Fire Flute. Landing on 2, locking them down with the Gleipnir. Still kiting in and out is Ravens trying their absolute best to not give any kills away, but they've been locked down too much. They've lost Kara on the Pugna. In they go again. Rojo Fire Flute this time getting caught out. A huge pickoff for Ravens. It's still 2v4, but everyone's just so afraid of this Medusa. Like, you don't want to approach Muzi because Soul is standing right next to him. And so even with 3-4 down on the side of GRIN, it's just not worth it. You can't go into Soul.
You just can't. Gap closing onto the Deuce is just extremely difficult. Stone Gaze pops on and your melee cores just can't focus in on that Dusa. H just still stands. Not for too long, 20 minutes left, but 20 seconds left, but you've managed to get a lot out for the Aegis. You force out these really awkward moves from the side of Ravens and just establish this Dusa as a very massive core. Full Daedalus up and running now as well. So again, the output right now on Soul is just incredible. Like, you don't have the same output just yet on side of Raven. Raven, for their part, again, they're holding on to the game. They've ensured that the Aegis isn't at least under high ground here. So they've managed to stall out, and they could look to contest for the next if they are in a position on the map to kind of take control of Roche once more. But again, this game is not simplifying for Ravens. It's getting simpler for the side of GRIN. Is you just put Dusa up front and honestly, that's pretty much it. Just put Dusa up front and see how the game plays because there's still no answer for this.
Here we go again. 5-man smoke up.
Radiant are scanning.
Rotating into the mid lane is Ravens. Argus shying in the mid lane, almost trying to bait GRIN in. Big wraparound from Ravens, but now a counter smoke has been used up by GRIN. Into the river they go. They'll see Argus. The Alchemist immediately jumped up. Doom is committed. They missed the blast off though. And now the Vortex RRL landing on 3 heroes immediately. But do they have the follow-up? It doesn't seem like it yet. Raven's going to kite out again. They have used the Stone Gaze. Soul now on the run though, not feeling quite as safe as they dispose him up. Soul dropping low, out of mana completely. The Vortex gonna hold them down again, they're gone. Soul is down. Muzi is down to boot. They finally deal with the Medusa. And there's no buyback of all things. No buyback for Dusa. They can actually try to go high ground, but I don't think Ravens realize it.
Yeah, it's again, like, this time around they managed to focus down Medusa and makes all the difference. If you can be on top, if you can chain stun her down, isolate her from the rest of the team, that's where your fight can shine. I'm a bit surprised that Solo would actually fall like that, but it's a huge opening. You can melt these objectives with an Alk. Doesn't take too long here.
Yeah, here we go. They got the creep wave now. They'll move into through the top lane. Jump in is there. Argus trying to go for a bit more, is onto the techies. So LGTK will go down. Now the top rack's not going to last very long. Mind you, there is still a T2 mid tower standing. So Argus, he's going to run down towards the bottom lane instead. Rojo Fire Flute will get jumped on here by the Alk. But Argus really just wants the bottom tier 3 still. RL has different plans though, making the jump in on the Wind Ranger, but Rojo, he had a cheese available, so he will eat that. Muzi in the meantime trying to go for as many kills as he possibly can, but it's finding nothing. Zanaro does land very nicely, stopping him in his tracks. And seeing that Soul is up and available now with the respawn, they will leave the building, but they are 1 racks up.
Yeah, they're in a good position now to just, again, further control the map. We're at the point where Argus should... I mean, he's queuing up a full Silver Edge. I'm not sure what you replace. Maybe just drag your Blink in and out at this point. I would say this is not a bad game to actually farm Ags for your other heroes. Like we were talking about this earlier, Mike, an Ags up on Italian and Gangstar would be massive. More uptime on Unleash. The silences could win them some fights here. Wouldn't mind that at all. Maybe the Roshan Ags will just be what you have to sell for, although it's spawning down south here. Smoke out from GRIN, though. This could be a big one if they find the angle.
Here we go. Roshan just respawns as the fight's about to break out. RRL, though, another massive vortex out from the storm. Italian against us in, but no, the Shackle gonna hold him down. He's in a bit of danger, gets the BKB off just barely. As Soul, with the Stone Gaze, trying his best to fight back, but everyone from Ravens just turning their back on him. Argus looking to go back in now. RRL back in on the Medusa. They've caught the Alchemist for a moment, but the Vortex going to hold them down as Argus is trying his absolute best to just to survive through this. Can't really do it in the end, though. He is going to go down. It's a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of GRIN so far. They will chase for a little bit more, but everyone else is just fine to get their way out. This Alchemist, I mean, as farmed as he is, they still just cannot deal with Soul unless the rest of the heroes are dead around him.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Here we go. T2 bottom tower going to be under siege now from GRIN. RL in with the Vortex again. We'll start chipping away. Talona Gangster has brought back, and so is Argus. They're coming right back into this fight, but the immediate TP is away from Soul and Muzi. And these buybacks are pretty forced, to say the least. I mean, you weren't nearby any towers to TP to either. It was just pretty rough buybacks.
Yeah, not the best, but This should allow them to secure Roshan, which is really what they'd want here. Have that secondary life to cover your bases. Free Ags as well. Hoping to see that on Italiano Gangstar. And once you have that lower Unleash, again, more uptime. The silences, the pulses is big. Having a free Dispel on hand could be nice as well. So don't mind this too much. And there you go. Oh, Italiano Gangstar does grab the Aegis as well.
Oh,
he'll be taking point now.
I like that. Because the thing is, he's the guy dealing most of the damage here to the Deucer, right? Like, he's the one bursting through Soul's mana pool. And now with the Ags up, this Unleashed silence, man, it is so ridiculous. I actually like the fact that he's holding the Aegis instead.
Yeah, I think it can work out. It's just maybe a double-edged sword. Like, you don't have the MKB up yet. You can't pierce through the evasion Soul has, so it's a little bit tricky for you to just dish the damage. Still, we'll see Smoke out and a Moonlight out from Ravens with these pickups. They might be able to fully clean up another lane if they find a win here.
They are going to try and move in through the top lane. GRIN just patiently waiting for this rotation to come in. Italiano Gangstar immediately jumping onto Rojo. Fireflu with the silences out. Rojo in such big trouble. Italiano, though, dropping quite low himself, is going to go down the first life. So the Aegis is gone. Kara drops the boot. He will buy back on the Pugna. But it seems like they need to retreat here on the side of Ravens. And, well, they've lost their Alchemist again. No buyback available. What do you do now? Like, it seems like you're just like skipping creep waves here as Ravens. But GRIN, they can look to try and go high ground.
Yeah. We've got a little bit of that opening lined up. No secondary life to worry about. There is still the cheese on RRL, but I don't know if it matters without the Alk being there. Just doesn't feel like you can do as much without that big damage source. Good cuts from Wake Me Up, though, preventing any further movement onto the mid.
The chase is on here from Muzi, trying to find more targets. I don't know if this is worth it, though. Like, it felt like you were... I suppose they were creep skipping, to be fair, so you couldn't really push the mid lane in anyway. Wake Me Up. He's going to go down. Thing is, now you're not in really a great position to try and go high ground as GRIN. It's only 54 seconds left for the Alchemist. Like, it's still enough time to approach the high ground. But you might put yourself in a bit of an awkward scenario here if you're not too careful. But GRIN, it seems like they're going to commit for this. They're gone.
I mean, you've got some time for Ravens. At least, like, half a minute, you should be able to come in for at least the second set of racks. But you don't have much leeway here for mistakes. You've got to be able to hammer onto Soul somehow.
Losing immediately in with the Doom out, has found the Pugna, but Italiano Gangstar and moving in onto the Doom is hitting very hard right now. Pugna will be safe. Italiano Gangstar again jumping in, trying to drain some of the mana pool of Soul. RRL jumps in with another three-man Vortex out on the Storm. They've got LDTK down, and now the Medusa, she's out of mana completely. Oh, she's in huge trouble. This is not what you wanted. Soul is down. So is Muzi. And so is Salivating Salamander. And this is what I was just saying, John.
What the heck?
It's too late.
Yeah, they take their time. Good stalling from Ravens leads to this timing, and well, they stay in the game. Their high ground still fully intact. They've got the Rax advantage here on the Dire side. Perhaps Ravens now, they're about to hit some key timings. Italiano almost into the MKB. Consistent damage onto the Dusa. Despite the butterfly, it's going to kick in. Roshan, though, still a ways off, but you've got this opening onto high ground to force some buybacks here. Again, with a Marcy, with an Alec, it doesn't take too long to melt these objectives. Goes fairly damn quick.
It really does. Onto the high ground, Ravens working overtime for this win attempt here for game number 1 of this best of 3 series, but it's not over yet. Buybacks are incoming. You still have buybacks available on both the Doom and the Medusa, but they're going to try and rush through this tier 3 mid tower with the sidekick. Place on Argus. RL going to try and force those buybacks with a big Vortex finding 2 targets. There's the buyback from our Medusa Soul. Trying to rejoin this fight. With the buyback committed, they won't be able to secure the mid racks. But it seems like Ravens are happy with the buyback committal of Soul, and they'll be more than satisfied here just getting out now.
I mean, now you know that if you kill that Deuce, the game is pretty much over. And Italiano has got the item to kill that Deuce now. Full MKB up. So, again, Butterfly Evasion not going to do much. His usage of his Halberd has been pretty on point as well onto Soul. So it's been fairly good. GRIN trying to use this numbers advantage, smoking out. See if they find a nice juicy target. If you kill off the Storm, if you kill off RRL, he still has buyback, but it puts a awkward position out for the side of Ravens if they lose anyone at this point.
Mid lane, GRIN. Group up again, trying to go through the top lane, it seems. Problem is the creep wave through the top is being forced in, so someone's going to need to go back and address that. And Ravens, they'll know about that as well. Like, they're just going to hold their position in the base for now. But creeps are onto the tier 4 towers. For now, GRIN are just completely ignoring that happening. Just let that be.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
Oh, it's the racks falling now. I have to TP back. Muzi has to settle the creep wave. Decent damage onto that range racks. More than happy with that from Ravens. They wait out this numbers disadvantage. Pugnet's going to be back up. They've got this opportunity to go again. Buybacks only 20 seconds away, although the gold isn't quite there for all the heroes here on Ravens.
That's a nice line drawn out as well. They went to the exact position of GRIN. This could be a huge team fight because the Doom, well, he's here now. The Doom has rejoined the team. Kara immediately caught out first, but RRL with a 4-man Vortex. Again, this man, he just can't miss. This Storm is just doing absolutely everything to try and give him the chance in this game, but now he's caught out. Zip away is there, though. RRL barely survives. But it feels like this guy is just working overtime to try and get Ravens this win. He is trying so damn hard.
He is. He's really been setting up with his Ags pickup. Side of GRIN now. And again, they've got the numbers advantage. It's only the Pugna dead. But it's still pretty damn awkward for the side of Ravens, but not comfy enough for them to fully commit either. Oh.
Salivating Salamander. Caught. Arrow gonna connect as well. There is help incoming. They're looking for a Doom target. Muzi will break the Lincolns. Doom is not being committed. Doesn't really matter. It's on cooldown anyway, as they do get RRL down, but he's gonna buy back. Italian Gangster as well dropping on the Marcy. So you buy back on your Storm, but you're missing Italian Gangster here on the Marcy for 100 seconds. You know, it did start to feel like he was the real big damage dealer here. Well, I guess he's going to have to show us what he's got here against Soul and the Medusa. As you can see, the damage output is just really not there. RRL, again, trying his absolute best to delay this bottom racks going down. And lines have been drawn up towards the Roshan pit now from GRIN, so they are actually not going to bother trying to go for this bottom racks. Instead, they will go to the Roshan pit, but Roshan's still a minute 50 away from respawning.
That's an interesting call inside of GRIN. That gives enough time for the Marcy to be back up, for them to kind of get a little bit of a reset out, buyback ready in Argus. Again, still nothing on RRL. His buyback's kind of worthless. You do get some good item timings though for GRIN. AoE Doom now available for Muzi, so this is where the fights really start to be much, much harder for Ravens with that Ags Doom up and the Ags up and Rojo Fire Flu as well. Invis that it doesn't break on Windrun's pretty big. So the tools are there. Side of Ravens, they need to be cautious. Like GRIN is still scaling up nicely, and again, like despite being 5k up, it doesn't feel like you really have the advantage here. You have to take these fights in a very specific way for Ravens to kind of shine.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Bottom lane, Ravens looking to set up again. It's just been such a tough game for this dire end of things, and again, it just goes back to this carry pick. It just feels so lackluster. Argus trying to work towards a Moonshard now to give him that bonus attack speed he's looking for, because he's really just not hitting fast enough at all. Roshan, he's going to come up in 20 seconds now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
The team's so patiently waiting. There's your 5-man smoke now, Ravens. You've got to do everything you can to protect this Marcy, because as soon as he dies, Ravens are just missing too much damage. They're going to wrap around. They're actually going towards the mid lane, maybe trying to rat this one out. Look at the creep wave there, John. Oh, and Soul's going to be the one to defend it. Stupendous. If they can kill Soul, he's got no buyback, and he just picked up a Divine as well. It's on the courier. No. He's going to take it for himself. Instead, though, they found Rojo Fireflu in the bot lane, so they're going to try for the Wind Ranger. Jump in is there. They'll break the linkers, but he's got the BKB. Italian Gangster is being targeted, and the Doom has been committed, though it does go back the other way onto the Doom as well. So the runaway is there. He is still not down, and the life train is going to give him a bit of heal coming out here, and the Marcy he is actually going to survive through this, but not quite. Firefly will get it done. Now Kara's the target on the Pugna. He'll be left behind here for Ravens, and how even Argus gets caught by a shackle, so he'll try for a TP. Oh, and they couldn't see him. They didn't know he was there. He probably could have got away with it. And with this Divine up on Soul now, I mean, they're going for the, surely they're going to go for the end after this Roshan play.
Yeah, it should be the end game. Unfortunate for Ravens. I mean, if they got that angle, if they killed off the Deucer right then and there on the solo defense, then you'd be in a pretty different spot. You'd be on to the tier 4s at this point, melting the Ancient. But doesn't quite line up. GRIN, get a good read. They back up, provide some support for the Deucer. Aegis goes the way of Soul. And yeah, this is when things are kind of difficult now for Ravens. Like, it's never been easy. It's been very hard fought to find some of these wins. But all they can do is try to stall, or else it's gonna have to keep trying to zip the heat waves. But you're gonna lose your bot. And I'm pretty sure if you're GRIN right now, you think about the tier 4s. You don't even bother playing this game. Just go tier 4s, end it while you can, while the Heroes and Ravens just aren't around.
The bottom Rax is going to go down. GRIN looking to try and go for Megas. Kara going to try his best to slow this down with the Decrepify. Arrow's going to land onto Rojo Fireflu here. Rojo's going to be fine to tank through that though, no problem. Soul. He's got the mid-racks down, going for the Megas. Everyone is now back up for Ravens. There are at least a buyback available on the Alchemist, so you've got that going for you. Here we go. Final lane of barracks for GRIN to try and secure. Again, not taking very long at all, considering you have a full Divine Rapier on Soul. RRL gonna threaten with the Vortex, but never even throws it out. Kara trying to go for the Decrepify, but Aeon Disc immediately procced after one hit. Italian Gangster, they're gonna jump in. They're onto the back. They want at least the Ench gone first, and they do find him. Onto the Techies they go, but the Stone Gaze is making it rather hard to secure these kills. LGTK finally goes down, but now the Doom is out on the Alchemist, so he is able to run away from this. And GRIN, they're sticking around. They want this final lane of barracks so darn bad. But Ravens, they are in still a position to try and defend, though the Rax is now officially gone. So Megas are incoming. Mind you, the Radiant base has been under attack by creeps for such a long time. Ravens jump in again onto the Medusa. It's just so hard when you can't get in there and do any damage because you're afraid of the repercussions with this the Divine Rapier and the Medusa available. And I think for GRIN, considering how healthy they look right now, they just don't need to back out of here.
They could keep going. I'm a little bit surprised Italiano managed to live through that jump. He's around. He could still try again. The halberd usage has to be key. If they can pin down Soul, isolate the Deuce again, get the halberd off to cut some of that damage. This fight can still open up. It takes a lot of effort now on the side of Ravens to make a creep's disadvantage. They can hold with the Alk. They can hold with their heroes on hand, but boy, does this feel like a uphill battle or up mountain battle, if that's a word, Mike.
It's a word, Jonathan. I'm not sure if it's a saying. I think this is what you were trying to say to me.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Yeah, it's a bit like that right
the hill's too tiny, you know?
Yeah.
You're heading up mountain.
Well, mountain is essentially just a big hill, isn't it?
Well, sure, I suppose, technically. A hill, it's like what, any geological feature that's around maximum 300 feet up, I believe, if I recall. I forget the metric of that. I don't know why.
I don't think we need the intricacies of that, Jonathan. Thank you for that, though.
It's important to categorize well, Mike.
Of course. Soul. Dipping out. Double Vortex is there. RRL. Good start to the team fight, but another big Doom committed onto the Alchemist, and they are just falling apart. Soul is just ripping them to shreds. RRL gonna go down. Buyback available. They're all committing for it. Mega's incoming into the bases. Soul is finally getting a little bit low on mana, but the problem is he still has the Aegis up, and the damage output is way too high. 2 buybacks, or rather diebacks immediately. A third one to boot. That's gonna be a GG. And they do call it. Wake Me Up has seen enough. RL is still trying to fight, but ultimately cannot do anything any longer. And GRIN, props to them, Jonathan. I mean, it took them 59 minutes, but they managed to win game number 1 here against...